I'm going to walk you through the process of changing the teachers for next year if you've got teachers that are moving to different grade levels, that kind of thing. And you can do this both in the course master or the section master. But I think that most of the time you're going to end up in the section master. It's a little easier to see everything. I am going to take you over to the course master just for a second because I do think it's helpful just from the standpoint of looking to make sure you have the sections that you need. So I know I've got some changes in second and third grade to do here at Amberley. So I'm going to just take a peek at the normal, the homeroom class and just take a look at what's there. And here are the teachers. I know that Stockwell, for example, is going to move into the third grade, and I know that Kartner here, Jennifer, is moving to the second grade. So there's one pair of teachers that I can just swap. So I can make Stockwell section 4, and Jennifer, I can take a peek at second grade and look for Stockwell. And I would also make her section 4. That just kind of works out. That doesn't normally happen. But I can swap those two teachers, and then I will have kind of performed that switch. So I do think the course master is good to kind of take a peek and help you see really quick at a glance how many sections you have and help you to identify how many sections you might need. Now I'll head back over to the section master and just talk through that. Remember, I didn't mention this before, but remember, just like in the overview, we talked about making sure you're in the 21-22 school year. You want to do that, especially as you get going, switching between the course master and section master. It's easy to accidentally go right into the current scheduling year, and now you're looking at different information. It's not the same. So if you ever feel like you're going a little crazy and things aren't looking the same, just check that year at the top. You might be flip-flopping between the years. So remember, you can switch the school year, top right-hand corner, and you can switch it over to 21-22. Now in the section master, you're used to me telling you about the teacher schedules filter. This is the one that arranges all of the classes that the one teacher is teaching, groups them all together. Then I often direct you over to only active sections, but I'm going to show you a different one that we've created recently that I think is maybe even better than the only active sections filter. So it's called Scheduling Essentials. You get to leave the view class section details just like the teacher schedules filter, so you can leave it and just switch over to Scheduling Essentials. And this one just removes a bunch of the junk that you don't need to see from the only active sections view. And once you start scheduling kids into classes, the nice thing is that those numbers will start to appear in these columns here. These are just standing for how many kids are enrolled in each term. And so if there's 27 kids in a class, you'll see 27 in each one of these term columns. But this one is nice because it just shows you the course, code, the name, what the section number is, the period if there is one, and then the teacher, and then the room over there to the right. So kind of everything that you need all in one place. So I like that filter a lot. So this one might be an easy place to do the teacher changes as well. I have a couple of teacher swaps that I know I have to do here in Amberley, just as an example. So I know, for example, Kartner, who's right now a third grade teacher, is swapping with Stockwell like we talked about when I was looking at the course master. So in this case, I would have to go down to third grade where she is currently. So there's the homeroom AM class. And if I want to swap that to Stockwell, I go down to the meet. So expand the meet, edit, Stockwell. And I happen to know that Stockwell is going to be in room 15. So if you know that information ahead of time of the new room that's going to be in, you might as well change it there. If you don't know it, you can leave it as is, or you can actually delete the room. That might be helpful too, whatever you choose to do. So there's my first switch, but now I got to complete that with the rest of the classes. So I just moved Stockwell into Kartner's third grade, what she was teaching. And now I need to find all the other places where Kartner was listed, and then I'll need to do the opposite where Stockwell is listed. So I'm just going to keep going here. So I did the homeroom AM, and it's helpful to note the section. So it's section 4. So I'm looking for Jennifer's name and I'm looking for that section number. And I'm just going to keep going and complete the switch. All right, so that's switching from the scheduling essentials view. I won't bore you with switching all the rest of them. I'll just fast forward and do the rest of those quick. And then what I'm going to need to do is switch and make Kartner, have her take the place of where Stockwell was teaching in 2nd grade. And I'll do that from the teacher schedules view so that you can see the other way to do it as well. Okay, I'm done with switching Stockwell into Kartner's classes in the 3rd grade. Now, if I look I just switched the filter to the teacher schedules, and if I look down here, I'm going to see that Stockwell teaches quite a few classes, more than normal, right? And so I need to move her out of the 2nd grade courses, and I know that Kartner is going to take that place. So now I'm looking at it from a different view here, right? And I know that in the 2nd grade, this is where it's going to get a little goofy when you're looking at it from the teacher perspective, but I'll go through and show it to you anyway. So I know E200 is that homeroom class, 2nd grade. I know that Kartner needs to teach that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, just in reverse. Now when you see this pop up for the default room number, you can try to assign the defaults. What that is it sees that the teacher has a default room number assigned. I know that Kartner needs to move to room 4. When I hit the assign defaults button, I see that it's giving me 20. So I know I'm not going to want to use the defaults for this teacher because she's moving into the room that Stockwell was already in. So in this case, I can just click leave as is, then save and move on. Now here's what happens when you're in the teacher schedules view, and this is what you may or may not like. I was on Stockwell, if you remember, and I switched it to Kartner, and because I switched it to Kartner, then the view jumps up to her name, because that's the last one I worked on. So if you're working from this way, then you got to scroll back down to Stockwell and keep working through the classes. In my opinion, when you have a teacher that's teaching 2 things at once because you've already switched them, I think this view gets a little more confusing than looking at the scheduling essentials view. I'm going to bring up the scheduling essentials view side by side so you can just see the difference and decide which one you like better. So since I know Stockwell is going from 2nd grade to 3rd grade and we already made that switch, and we just did the Kartner AM homeroom where we replaced Stockwell, I'll be able to see that by looking up here at the 2nd grade courses, and I can see right here where I made the first switch. So Kartner now is in 2nd grade homeroom, room 4, and you can see Stockwell in the PM class, room 4. So those are the ones I need to replace. So I do think it's probably a little visually easier to go back through here and work through and just replace all the Stockwells, but I'm going to go back on the other side just for those of you that want to try this way or prefer this way. So here we are, teacher schedules view. Carly, here's the one I got to replace, and put Kartner in her place in this one. And again, the defaults we know would change it to room 20. I don't want it that. I want Kartner in room 4, so I leave as is, click save. And then I'll just repeat that for the rest of the ones, rest of the 2nd grade courses that I need to replace for Stockwell. I'll be right back. Okay, I've made all the changes, and I can see here in the teacher schedules filter all of Jennifer's courses now that are in 2nd grade. Looks like I got them all. And I can also scroll down and take a look at Stockwell and make sure that all of those are third grade courses. Looks like they are. And then if it helps, switch over to the Scheduling Essentials filter and take a look at it that way. Take a look at both grade levels. So there's a couple different ways you can do it, and whatever you think is a little more helpful. I think this view is pretty handy for this kind of thing. The disadvantage is having to jump, several sections in order to get to the same section in the next class. The other side is whenever you change a teacher name, it jumps up to the different teacher's name. So give that a shot, and hopefully that goes well for you. It can be a little bit tough to keep track of and make sure that you're getting all of the courses. So go slow and use these filters to kind of give you an advantage, being able to look at it a couple different ways. The other thing to do here at the end is, of course, you could go back into the Course Master. And I typically open a new window. You know that I do that a lot. And now if I want to look at the second grade, how I've got that set up, I can see that section 4 that I was talking about before that was taught by Stockwell is now Kartner. So at a glance I can see that, and if I want to jump down to the third grade homerooms, I can now see that Stockwell is in third grade section 4. And of course you could check each course on here, but that's really what this section master helps you do too. All right, hope that goes well for you.